Mom, what do you do when you have an untidy person living with you?
Vicky, it depends on who the untidy person is. If it's one of your children who you are busy training, you can instruct a child. And if a child doesn't follow instruction, as parents, we can impose measures of discipline. We can take away privileges, or think of some disciplinary measure if a child has not tidied as they've been instructed to tidy up. If it is an elderly parent or a husband, it's not so simple. We cannot treat an elderly parent or a husband like a child. We can appeal to them to say, please, would the clothing that you threw on the floor, would you mind picking it up and putting it into the wash basket? But we are not to be nags. We can't be nagging at people all the time. Nothing disrupts the peace of a home like nagging and carping and going on. We can go to God and appeal for God to move that person's heart to just be more orderly and more tidy. But when all else fails, we may just have to have a servant heart and go and do the tidying up. I know that my mother-in-law tried to reform my father-in-law, who was very untidy by nature, and in the end she just gave up and picked up his clothes and did whatever had to be done with him. So it just depends on who it is.
That's beautiful. I want to appeal to us as women. The environment, the atmosphere in our home is actually, we're responsible for that. And I knew Granny and Granddad, and I would never have known that. And Granny and Granddad had such a beautiful relationship. There was always peace that surrounded them. So as women, I think it's so important that we don't allow things that worry us, that are petty, to actually rule the atmosphere of our home, but instead, as Mom said, lay ourselves down and become a servant. Do it as unto the Lord.
I must say, Vicky, my mother-in-law, although she had a husband who was untidy by nature, had a very tidy, neat home. You never went into her home and found the home untidy.
That's beautiful. And it makes me think of Mary and Martha. And Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus listening. And Martha is a house goddess, and she's making sure everything is in order, and she's worrying about the details to the point that it worries the peace of her heart. And eventually she goes to Jesus and she says to Jesus, can't you see all that I'm doing? And yet Mary's not doing it. Can't you see? Almost an injustice, but it's brought a lack of peace into her heart. It's brought a lack of peace into the environment, into the relationships. And Jesus lovingly looks at her and he says, the one thing that is important, the one thing that is needed, Mary is doing this. Now, Jesus wasn't discounting that we have dirty homes, or he wasn't saying it's fine to leave your home. But it's exactly what my mom-in-law was saying, is that above all, it's that relationship with Christ, that we are going to him, that our hearts are being kept, so we're keeping and tending and nurturing the garden of our hearts, so that everything that comes out of it is beautiful in our home, and that we are house goddesses, that when people walk into our homes, it is clean and it is orderly and it is kept. But even more so, that the house, the temple that we live in, we are house goddesses, because we get to God and we allow him to do whatever is necessary within the garden of our hearts. I know that you would have been blessed. I'm sure that you need to watch this again with notes, with pen and paper to make notes of all the incredible advice that was given. And so I just want to thank you for joining us this morning. And Mom, your advice is always so invaluable. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad that I get to call you Mom. And I know there's so many ladies that that look at you as mom and as grandmom as well. And we love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Love you too.
Little did I dream, oh,